Test, test, 1, 2. 1, 2. Test, 1, 2. Test.
right. I actually expect the president in about
2 bars will do.
mass minutes going away. And we'll get some guidance from the DOD in the next couple of weeks. It's good politics. Your name, my son, on the retirement list to retire soon? Indiana, Florida?
Good evening. As spouses, many of us have experienced our loved ones' stressors and have seen the emphasis of the services placed on the buildings, their resiliencies. Tonight, Ms. Kristen Christy will be speaking to us about how we can not only help ourselves and help our service members, but also help our families. I proudly welcome Ms. Kristen Christy.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you, Charity. It is so good to see you all, and I wish I could see each of you individually, but glad you all are tuning in. We're going to be interactive tonight. We're going to keep the camera people busy because I'm a walker. I'm an uber extrovert. So those introverts in the room, I'm really sorry if you need to go home and take a nap after tonight. But you all are feeding my energy, and I appreciate that so very much. Thank you, Charity. Thank you, Erica, for the opportunity to come here. And thank you all for being here. You know, my earlier presentations, they had to be here. You all don't have to be here. So that means an awful lot to me. So thank you very much. I did want to let you know, because we're going to be interactive here in the room, we want those and Arnold and Eglin and possibly Holloman to also be involved. I guess I need to turn this on. It's been a long day, right? There, oh. Fat finger, don't look. Close your eyes. There we go. All right. So we have an inline text number for those of you on YouTube, on Zoom, and, you know, the cyber net, whatever it's called over there. And we'd like you to interact with us as well. You don't have to put your name on there. We would like the location, though, where you're located. But as we interact tonight, you have some things at your place. A colorful pen, right? It's nice. I love to use a colorful pen when I write a check and, you know, send a bill or get a bill and send in a check for a bill. It just kind of makes you smile, even though it may not be fun to write a check for a bill. But, and we'll go through those things tonight. Tonight's different than earlier. So what I'd like to do is kind of introduce our story with a 4.5-minute video that C.A.R.E. University did on our family story. I think it's powerful, but it's my story too. You are going to hear a voicemail during the presentation from my son. Remember, it's a young man, a 20-year-old young man in the voicemail, and you've got tissues if you need it. So let's hope this works. There we go. My children, our children, were 14 and 12. And our 14-year-old got up to give the eulogy. 17 years of marriage, 3 PCSs, 2 kids, 2 boys, a deployment for 4.5 months, and I couldn't save my husband from committing suicide. It's been 12 years and I haven't seen our oldest son, who would be 26, in over 4 years. My family's been decimated. I feel like I failed as a spouse and as a mother. And I will live with that for the rest of my life. But it's my choice how I live the rest of my life. am I going to live the rest of my life having regrets and wallowing in what could have been? Or do I take those lessons that I've learned to help other people, to help my younger son heal? Because he's still struggling 12 years later. It's not about me, but I heal every time I tell our story. And I pray each and every time that it resonates with one person. Just one person is what I want it to resonate with. I wish I could say no other family will go what we went through. And I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that whoever I come across in life knows that they are not alone, they are not a burden. To give people pause that there are after effects and destruction left behind after some of the choices we make. That's my passion. That's my purpose. I want to make a difference in someone's life. That it takes community. We are not alone. We are not a burden. And that you matter. You may not know it, but you matter, and I'm telling you right now that you matter. I've heard the story before. When you look at a tombstone and you see the birth date and the death date, and you see the dashed line in between, that dashed line means so much more than the birth date and the death date. When I die, I want my birth date, my death date, and an exclamation point in between. I want people to remember how I lived my life. I lived it with gusto. I lived it with zest, with pizzazz, with an exclamation point. You matter. You are not a burden. We go through tests in life. All of the tests are pop quizzes, right? We don't know that we're getting those tests. And sometimes it feels like a midterm or a final. We go through adversities in life, especially military spouses, right? That's my story. It's been 14 years now. My oldest son has been missing for 2,354 days today. September 20th of 2015 was the last time I saw him. The doctors think that Don's suicide triggered bipolar in him early. As a woman of faith, I pray that he's on this side of heaven, selfishly. Our younger son lives here in Lancaster. He works at Edwards at South Base. The voicemail. That was a voicemail he left 8 years after his dad's suicide on his 20th birthday. Can you imagine getting a voicemail like that? I miss my dad. I can't live without my dad. He attempted suicide that night. But his community, his fraternity brothers, his roommates from the University of Arizona in Tucson came alongside of him, just like our community came alongside of us that night when the coroner and 2 officers rang the doorbell in April of 2008. See, I grew up in the Air Force. We moved every 2 years. You all are used to that, right? We get to an assignment. We unpack the boxes. We save the little colored stickers. How about you guys? Yeah? We would unpack those boxes, not necessarily put things away, but then my brother and I would sit in the back seat of the car, and we would get embedded in our community. We would have the Rand McNally map. Okay, I'll just tell you I'm 39 plus shipping and handling, okay? You don't have to do math or, figure out any of that. But way before GPS. But we had the Rand McNally map, and we would, whether it was Okinawa, Japan, or Omaha, Nebraska, Carlisle Barracks, or Colorado Springs, San Vito, Italy, or San Antonio, Texas, we got embedded in our community, and we would get lost. We were able to tell our parents, turn right here, take a left. Oh, make a U-turn, rerouting, no, I didn't. Remember, it was way before GPS. But we found the most fascinating places off the beaten path and met wonderful people who didn't necessarily know about the military, but they became part of our community as well. But I'll tell you, the most important community for us, and as a military spouse, is my military community. Even if they're Army or Navy or Space Force, right? We may not speak exactly the same language, and we're going to talk about some acronyms, but it's easy enough to find out what those acronyms mean. In the Army, it's MOS. For the Air Force, AFSC, right? Air Force Specialty Code. I want you all to know that you all have an AFSC. It's one SPOUSE. We take on the job, right? I know some of you are veterans. Some of you may be active duty right now or reserve. And you raised your right hand to take the oath of service. And then some of us raised our left hand to volunteer and presented our left hand to become a military spouse. And that has challenges in itself. Dawn came home from deployment, and we hear it during pre-deployment that give them some time. They may come back different. And he came back different, and I didn't know what to do. But I reached out to my community. And I did everything that I could. But when your children ask you, why didn't he love us enough? The guilt and the shame come pouring in. It took me 10 years before I could tell our story, in the hopes that it resonates with one person. With one person, because it's not just one person. It's one family and one community. So I don't know how many times I've said community so far, but each and every one of you have a different definition of community. What does community mean to you? Is it your neighborhood? Is it maybe the parents at your kid's school? Anyone play bunco here? Bunco was my community when we were in Grand Forks, North Dakota, which is I think a lot like Edwards. We had that long stretch of highway into town. There are a lot of bases like that, right? That long stretch of lake bed through Edwards. I'm sure Arnold and Eglin have something similar. But that stretch of road from Grand Forks Air Force Base into town to meet with our other community, we called that our gratitude highway. So unlike here, we had billboards, and we memorized all the billboards. But I want to invite you, as you're driving down that road, that it's your gratitude highway. you think of what you're grateful for. Because sometimes the way we talk to ourselves can be toxic. There's a saying, if you had a friend who talked to you the way you sometimes talk to yourself, how long would that person be your friend? I'm guilty of that. And for every negative comment, it takes 5 positive comments to negate that one negative. Use that time when you're in your car with no cell service, right? To be grateful and find out what you're grateful for. Because when you're grateful, it's contagious. So I'm not a therapist. I don't have letters behind my name. I think, personally, in my family, suicide was contagious. Both of my children attempted. But what else is contagious other than COVID, right? A smile, a kind word. It can do wonders for you and the person receiving. It's part of compassion. And I think as military spouses, it's important to have compassion. It's important to have empathy. To get outside of ourselves and our circumstances and help others. So this is the interactive part. I'm going to show another YouTube video done by the Cleveland Clinic. There's music. There's no audio other than the music, but I would like you to read what's on the video. So let's hope that this works. Oh, I love technology. Hear what they hear, see what they see, feel what they feel. It's all part of empathy. See, life is a tough teacher. We get the test first and then learn the lessons, but we are on an emotional battlefield every single day. And we don't know what our wingman is going through. So this is the interactive part. And those of you in Arnold and Eglin and Holloman, I want you to use that text line and for you all to use your index cards and your colored pen. And I want you to finish one of these sentences. And then don't put your name on them. We're going to have people pick them up. We're going to pass them back out and have you read what other people wrote. Okay, so finish one of these sentences. I struggle with, I worry about, I feel like. Just one of those sentences. And then if you don't mind raising your hand and letting me know that, yes, the pens are new, so I think there's a little rubber ball at the tip of them, so you might have to take those off. Thank you, ma'am. I struggle with, I worry about, I feel like. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Yep. Thanks. I think as military spouses, too, we want to put on a good front. We take care of a lot of people, right? How many key spouses do we have here? Yep. Taking care of the unit, right? Part of that command team. Good, thank you. Great, thanks. We tried, that's okay. No. We tried to make sure to give you a different colored pen than your colored index card. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. We're gonna shuffle them. We're gonna hand them back out. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time because the card that you receive, I want you to read it. Do we have a microphone? Good, thanks. So I'd like you to read it. And if it's your own card, don't tell us. Just read it like it's somebody else's card. And then those of you on YouTube and all, please do text in one of those sentences. I struggle with, I worry about, I feel like. Great. Thanks for your help, ladies. I appreciate it. So while they're passing those back out for you, raise your hand if you haven't received one. In front of you, you also have a postcard. I'd like you to send that postcard to someone who needs to know that hope is not canceled. And then there's a really big index card for you to take notes because we're going to talk about some acronyms here in a little bit. So does everyone have a card? Okay. Brian, can we start and they can just pass it? If you don't mind just reading what's on your card and then pass the microphone. It's okay. Do you want me to read it for you? I got you. I got your 6. Okay. This one says, I struggle with self-worth. I worry about not being an engaged person. Is that? Yep. And I feel like I got it right today. Oh, I love, that was a positive, wasn't it? Okay.
I worry about missing an important cue from my family that signals mental illness.
I worry about my kids all the time.
I struggle with the love of family, and I worry about my kids.
I worry about my sister having another stroke.
I worry about my immediate family, sisters and brothers.
Stevie.
I feel like I am alone.
I worry about my mom and my daughter.
I worry about my family. I struggle with my self issues. I feel sad sometimes without reasons.
I worry about my daughter's mental health.
I worry about what happens after this assignment. Is it what I want?
How many of us have thought that?
I struggle with making my needs a priority.
I worry about what life will be like when my spouse retires.
I worry about the future.
I worry about my children.
I worry about the kind of people my children will grow up to be based on my ability to parent them.
I struggle with giving away or losing control.
I worry about if I'm good enough.
I worry about tomorrow.
I struggle with anxiety and depression. I worry about my spouse. I feel like I'm never enough.
I worry about how we're going to keep going.
That's okay. No judgment here. Yeah.
Telling people how I really feel.
I struggle with feeling like I'm not good enough.
I worry about my husband's health and his future.
I feel like I am always overextended.
So, do we have any inline texts? Can you read a few of those? If we have any? No? Okay. So, self-worth. Oh, you do? Okay.
Waiting for it to come in.
Okay.
I worry about my husband retiring and having to reinvent myself.
How many of you could have written one of these different cards, right? You know who read your card. I could have written probably 75% of those. We don't know what our wingman is going through, what our military spouse community is going through. But pretty darn sure they aren't alone. That's a good example of that, right? But sometimes it takes us to get outside of ourselves and be able to open up and talk about it to people that you trust. It doesn't have to be a room full of people. It can be one person. Just to know you aren't alone. And to practice that compassion and that empathy. They ran the gamut, right? We had a positive one. The feelings, right? They got it right today. Let's celebrate that. Let's celebrate the little wins. But we all struggle. We all worry. We all have self-doubt. Worry that we aren't enough. I'll tell you, I didn't tell our story for 10 years because of the guilt and the shame. And I was really afraid to open myself up and splay my heart open because I was afraid people were going to throw salt into it. Right? We want to put on that mask, not the COVID mask, but that mask. What do we put on social media? We put our good stuff. you need to connect with someone. Simon Sinek said, we need a deep relational friendship. One person other than your spouse that you can confide in without judgment. I admit, when I was a younger military spouse, I was judgmental. I think in old age, I'm a little less judgmental. I'm curious now. I ask questions. But it's part of the compassion. So I want to transition into some acronyms that helped me and my family, right? Every installation has different acronyms. The training wing and AFTC. And I remember when we were in Grand Forks, we had a spouse meeting, and we had to say what squadron our spouse was in. And so 448th, missile wing. The med group commander's spouse said, he's with the HOSPITAL. She wanted to feel part of the acronym world. So we're going to talk about some acronyms. Thank you for doing that. I really encourage you to keep those cards with you. Put them in your wallet, your purse, and when you think you're alone, pull that card out and realize that you aren't alone. So the first acronym is CARE. It's compassion and resilience everywhere. When we care for people, when you care for people, you're compassionate, you're resilient, and you're helping them be resilient. And then everywhere, because the Air Force sends us everywhere, right? All across the globe. But when you see the word care, think of that compassion and resilience. The next one. I missed that one. Okay. So the second one should be no. N-O. N-O. Now, caveat. Okay? When it comes to your body, no means no. But in other situations, it means next opportunity. Think about your kids. They come to you and ask for something, right? And you say no, where do they go? They find the next opportunity with dad or grandma, or let's take that childlike attitude and find the next opportunity. What is your next opportunity? One of the cards said they struggle with the next assignment. And is it what they want? Right? It may not be. The answer may be no. It's not what you want. But it's your next opportunity. Because guess what? You aren't the only one that feels that way. You're going to meet other people. They're going to become a part of your community. You're going to care for them, and they're going to care for you. But what's that next opportunity for you? The next one is fly. Let's hope that I did this one right. No, I didn't. There's no. Fly. First, love yourself. If you are overwhelmed, if you are stressed out, it's hard to help other people. You give of your overflow, not of your overwhelmed. No one wants your overwhelmed because they have enough of theirs. But you've got to first love yourself. You've got to take care of yourself, whatever that looks like. I love to play golf. I think your golf course out here, it's the only grass that's on base, right? There's something about touching the grass. Horticulture therapy. But I love to play golf. I'm a hit and giggler. I'm not that good. But it gives me time to think. What do you do to take care of yourself? Think about that. We all have 1,440 minutes in every day. You need a portion of that for yourself to be able to go out and take care of others. And then being Air Force spouses, if you fly, you can fight and win. As military spouses, we can use that motto as well, right? We fight for our families. We have a mission, and we win. Sometimes that win doesn't look like something that we want. But ultimately, we win when we can take care of ourselves. So, this one. Have you all heard of FOMO? What does FOMO mean? JOMO. Joy of missing out. Right? Boundaries. It's part of first loving yourself. It's saying no. Letting that person know it's the next opportunity for them. But there's a joy of missing out. I will tell you, my anxiety, my calendar is chock full of meetings. That's how I cope. That's how it kind of manifests. But this year, my acronym is JOMO, joy of missing out. I'm not afraid to say no anymore, or not right now. If I truly mean not right now, that I will revisit it. No, if it's absolutely no. But that's part of taking care of yourself. When you can fly, then you can care. JOMO. Next one, fail. I talked about it in the video. I feel like I failed as a spouse and as a mom, as a community member. It was my community, my therapist, who helped me understand that FAIL stands for first attempt in learning or further attempt in learning, but never final attempt in learning. Remember those tests that life gives us? And then we learn the lessons? We feel like we failed that test, but we learned lessons in the process. And then we can help tutor people going through their own test. That's what we do as military spouses. We come alongside. It's the postvention, taking care of people, right? Don't be afraid to fail. It means that you tried. And then try again. Find that next opportunity. Next one is fear. So if I asked you, and I'm not, this is not the, we are not going to share our fears with our partner, but if I asked you to share your fear, a fear, how many have more than one fear? I do. You shared a fear with your table, I pretty much guarantee you, you're going to have different fears. We're all fearful of something. I'm fearful of jumping out of a plane. Luckily, I don't have to jump out of a plane. But if someone was a paratrooper, they better not fear jumping out of a plane, or they need to get over it, right? But we don't see in ourselves what other people see in us. We went on food stamps after Don died. He was 3 days from pinning on Colonel. I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 15 years, trying to get my boys settled after Don's choice. And I finally got a job as a receptionist 2 years after Don's death. 4 friends of mine invited me to dinner to celebrate getting a job, even though I had a degree, but I hadn't used it. I got there a little late. They were all laughing. I love a good joke. So I said, what did I miss? They said, we're all taking bets on how long before you become CEO. And I'm like, there's no way. What are you talking? I felt like I had to be with someone who was a CEO or a senior leader. I thought that was what my identity was based on. But they saw in me something that I didn't see. But they were part of my community. I trusted them. I said, okay, what do? Help me with a plan. How do I have my own sphere of influence? Well, guess what? I already had my own sphere of influence. I just didn't know it. That was an aha moment for me that night. And I will tell you, my friend Pam won the bet because she said 10 years, and it was 9 years and 11 months before I became CEO of my own company. But they saw it. But they saw it in me. When you have that deep friendship, you can say, I've got these blinders on. Can you help me find out what my identity is? Because it's not based on what I do. My identity was being Dawn's wife, Ryan and Ben's mom, room mom, team mom. I was Kristen Christy. I'm a hard worker. Not so much self-disciplined anymore, but there are times. My size is TLC, thick like cheesecake, or cornbread if you're from the South. I mean, but I'm competitive. I'm loving. I'm approachable, I hope. I want to be people's emotional support human without the vest and the leash and the do not pet. What is your identity? It's not what you do. But it was that fear of stepping out. And my friends came alongside to help me conquer that fear. And I'm not asking you to be fearless, as in one word. Some fear is good. And the beauty about fear is when you can step outside that comfort zone and conquer that fear, because we grow from that. Adversities are, I fear more adversities. I wish God wouldn't trust me so much. But when you make your comfort zone your escape room, that's when you grow. So don't be fearless. I want you to fear less. But don't do it alone. We are not made to do life alone. Fear less. Free, another F4-letter word. But this one's good too. Foster relationships energetically everywhere. Now, energetically has different definitions. I'm an uber extrovert. I can suck the air right out of an introvert's lungs in a blink of an eye. Energetically for me is probably bounding in that room. Hi, everybody. Energetically to you may mean something else. I needed another E in there, okay? But when you foster relationships, your community grows. Your overwhelmed can become less because you have more people to take that emotional ruck off your shoulders. Peanut butter spread. The things that we do as military spouses. But foster relationships energetically everywhere. Hope. Hope has two meanings. The first one is hold on, pain eases. Now, some people would say that N-E, it stands for end. I'm pretty darn sure a lot of you have some pain that hasn't ended. And it's okay. It's all right. But hold on, pain eases. So what do you hold on to? Do you hold on to yourself? It's kind of hard to hold on to yourself when you're broken, when you're overwhelmed, when you're in crisis. Hold on to your community. That person, your person, the person who helps ease that pain for you. And then hope has another definition. Help one person every day. When you can get outside of your circumstances and you help someone else, makes you feel wonderful, makes them feel wonderful, and it helps your pain ease. But I want to invite you that help that one person every day may be yourself. It's not selfish. We've all heard it. Put your oxygen mask on. Well, take your mask off and then put your oxygen mask on before you help others. If you don't take care of yourself, if you don't fly, if you don't have boundaries, JOMO, if you don't say no, next opportunity, it's kind of hard to care for other people. So I want to introduce you to those who help my pain ease. My new groom of 8 years. Friday will be our anniversary, 8-year anniversary. Thank you. Match.com. It works. And I'm an Air Force recruiter because he was Navy when I met him. I said, I don't understand your acronyms. What's a GDUNC? Come on over to the Air Force. And he loved me enough, and he said, okay, I'll wear blue. He's a reservist at Peterson Space Force Base, a traditional reservist in cyber. He was 43 when we met, and he had never been married. My mom was worried. What's wrong with him? He says he was waiting his whole life for me. I don't know many spouses that can live in the shadow of a previous life. I travel a lot. The month of September in 2019, I was home for 52 hours, and not all at the same time. It's Suicide Prevention Month because I heal as I tell her story. He met me at the airport with a new bag that I had packed before I left. I came off the plane, through security, got my bag, took my makeup bag out of that bag, put it in the new bag. We had lunch at the airport. He went home, and I went through security again. That's support. He helps our pain ease. The other picture is my son Ben, that voicemail on that video. Our youngest son, he was 12 when his dad died. He's 26 now. I just think he's so cute. He looks like Liam Hemsworth. He lives here. He lives in Lancaster. He works on South Base as a government employee. And he's thriving because he found his community. It's hard in Lancaster for a 26-year-old to find. It's hard for some 55-year-old to find community at Edwards, right? But he found it. There is community here for you. And I'm so proud of Ben. He still struggles, especially milestones. But he survived and he thrived, but not alone. So what did our community do for us? What was post-vention like for us? They showed up. This April will be 14 years since that darn doorbell rang. And I got to tell you, when I hear a doorbell ring, I tense up. So our doorbell is ho, 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 all year long. But I made one phone call. And our living room and kitchen were full of people who came over. They showed up. And then they did something. It says do something, not say something. We had people washing dishes. We had others transferring laundry, cleaning the bathroom, thank goodness. But they showed up that night, and they kept showing up, and they did something. My best friend took her 2 boys, who were my boy's best friend, out of school for 3 days. They stayed with us, and she slept on Don's side of the bed so it wouldn't be empty. They did something. Now, I will tell you, I don't remember what they said. It doesn't say something. As human beings, don't we want to say something and make something better? So I remember what one person said to me. She said, he's in a better place. He went to church with us. Why wasn't a better place at home? With his family. I know what she meant. In the rawness of that moment, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say. And it's okay to say, I don't have the words for you, but I'm here. Yes, at that moment when she said that, it rubbed me wrong, but she showed up. That negates everything. And they kept showing up, and they were intentional. Usually the first 30 to 45 days, you've got food in your neighbor's freezer because your freezer is full. And we felt so blessed with that because I'm not a very good cook, and the boys were like, wow, I hope this doesn't stop, Mom. But it does, because life goes on. But we had some friends that constantly kept in touch with us, would send a card, would send a text, would call. Hey, how are you doing? So tonight, before you all go to bed, I've got homework for you. It's on the honor system. I want you to scroll through your phone, your contacts. You can either just stop on a name. You can see a name and say, hey, that person's been on my head and my heart, and I've been meaning to reach out. Text them. Now, you're in Pacific time, so it's really late now in Eastern time. You might want to do it tomorrow. Schedule it on your calendar. But reach out to the person, say, hey, I was thinking of you today. And then put your name on it because they might not have your phone number in their contacts. I do this every morning to 2 people. It's the first thing I do. That's part of my 1,440 minutes a day that I use for myself to help one person. But that person is me because I feel so good reaching out. And I will tell you, I've reached out to my plumber. And he said, Kristen, you sent the wrong number. And I said, no, Steve, I'm really glad you do what you do so I don't have to do it. So you never know. But do that, and I guarantee you the majority of you are going to hear from someone, that person. They're going to say, man, I needed to hear that today. And they may tell you what tests they're going through in life, and you may have gone through it 2 years ago, and you can help tutor them through that lesson. Or someone in your community, someone in your sphere of influence can help that person. Try it. Just try it one time. But if someone comes to your head or your heart or your intuition, say, I need to reach out, stop what you're doing. I pull over into a parking lot when I'm driving because I forget if I don't do it right away. But I'll stop and I'll be intentional. And then use your resources. How many of you, this is your first base? Yeah. Every base, every installation you've been to has resources. Find out what those resources are when you move. When you move to Hawaii, find your resources. Put those in your phone. Because they're not only for you when you need them, but they're for someone in your sphere of influence that needs them. When we're in darkness and in depression and anxiety, it's hard to ask for help. It takes those of us in a good place to say, here, I have enough courage. I have enough hope. Borrow some of mine and let me help you. So these are some national resources. National Suicide Prevention Hotline. I wish I had known the number. I wish I had asked 14 years ago, are you thinking of suicide? There's even texting for those who don't want to call. And it's okay to call to say, I'm calling for a friend, and mean it. It's not just for you if you're in a crisis. It's for someone you care about. That compassion and resilience every day and everywhere. So in 2017, I said 10 digits is a lot of digits to find, to figure out, and to call. In 2020, 988 that I had come up with was passed the House, passed the Senate, and was signed as an executive order. It's supposed to be active July of this year, of 2020. But I understand that in this area, it has already been activated. So you can dial the 10-digit number, or you can dial the 988. When we have a medical emergency, we dial 911. When we have a mental health crisis, we dial 988. And then NAMI, there are so many resources. Find out your resource. 211. Most states have a 211, and it gives you information on where a food pantry is. and where some financial help is. It's resilience is a big umbrella. Find out what those resources are. And then the resources on your installation. And if you are on a joint base that's run by Navy, it may not be Airmen and Family Readiness. Find out what that is. It's just like translating from Army to Air Force, right? Every branch has their own language, but we all talk the same. It's just different words. I really want to foot stomp the chapel. 100% confidential. 100% confidential. They are trained. They have the tools. And you do not have to step foot in the base chapel for worship. Whatever your faith is, the universe, whatever that looks like for you. But the chaplains are there, and they are trained, and they are your resource. Family advocacy. I mean, you guys have seen all this, right? MFLACs. We've got youth and adult MFLACs. We've got the CSCs, the VPIs, all those acronyms. Military OneSource. Have any of you used Military OneSource? It is an amazing resource. It's not just for counseling, but they offer counseling. They will translate. They have 150 languages that they will translate to English or vice versa. So if you have a spouse, English is the second language, get help with Military OneSource. Blue Star families, there's so many more. You all have so many more resources than what I could put up in the slide. Give an hour. Oh, I didn't make that one white either. Technology was not my friend tonight. But give an hour. You can type in your zip code, and it gives you a list of all the providers, the healthcare provider or mental health care providers in your area who will donate an hour a week for a year for counseling. My son Ben used it 3 times to find a counselor that he jived with. And then after that, after he found one that he could talk with, that's when we employed TRICARE. So it's a resource for you. It's for military and extended family. And then you all have a great resource here for the youth. Can you imagine? So our veterans, suicide is up to 27.5 on average a day taking their life. The veteran community. Why are they veterans? Because they were active duty. You all have heard, I'm sure, of the active duty suicides. And then the youth. Colorado Springs, where I live, is number 1 in suicides of kids 10 to 14 years old. You have a program, C.A.R.E, here for your youth. Can you imagine if we could help our youth build their resilience skills, and then maybe they'll go into the military and their resilience skills become even stronger, and then they go into the veteran community? See, we're going upstream to find out. If we can affect our youth in a positive way, so I really encourage you, and I saw some C.A.R.E things there, and I saw C.A.R.E on the table. Check out C.A.R.E at the schools here at Edwards. It's a resource for you. So I want to talk about resources for Ben. In high school, he was an athlete. Football, wrestling, basketball, you name it. Anything with a ball, he took it on. But that was his therapy. His counselor, his senior year, said, Ben, are you going to play sports in college? He didn't get any scholarships or anything. He said, maybe intramural sports. And his counselor recommended that he take up a mindless hobby to help with his anxiety and depression. Well, the girl he liked was starting a crochet club before school. My son, the football star, learned how to crochet. He went off to college, and he became a closet crocheter. He was not going to let his fraternity brothers know that he crocheted. So he would stay in his room, and he would crochet. And I got some of the most beautiful scarves as he was practicing. they were beautiful because he made them for me, right? The stitches weren't all the same. They were just kind of eclectic. But he was practicing, and it helped his anxiety and depression. His senior year, last semester, he had 2 semesters left at the University of Arizona. 20 credit hours of aerospace engineering, waiting for his clearance. Took 2 years to get his clearance because he was very honest on the equip about his 72-hour holds and his attempts, but it came through. He was looking for a job. He calls me. I don't know if any of you have kids. Do they like to call or do they prefer texting? He prefers texting. So I knew when I got a phone call, something was up. He said, Mom, I've gone viral. I said, honey, go to urgent care. It's okay. They'll take care of you. He said, Mom, I've gone viral on Twitter and Instagram. Do I even want to know why you went viral? So he had a girlfriend, and he crocheted a halter top for her. She broke up with him before he could gift it to her. So he put the halter top on, he snapped a picture, put it on Twitter and Instagram, and was selling it for $45. He said, this hobby that's supposed to help with anxiety and depression is causing me more anxiety because I have 500 orders for halter tops. How am I going to do this? Talk about overwhelmed, right? He taught his fraternity brothers how to crochet. Words matter. This is silver, not gray. He taught them how to crochet, and they fulfilled all the orders. They got $45 for each one. And the beauty of that was they learned a hobby. Now, this is the young woman who bought it from him. She wore it best. There's no question. But I'm so proud of Ben because he took up a hobby specifically as a resource to help with what he knew that he needed help with. And then he shared that hobby, he shared that resource with his community, and together they made a whole lot of money. I'm like, aerospace engineering, you should have gone into business. Maybe you would have graduated in 4 years instead of 4.5. But that's an example of using your resources, knowing yourself, knowing how many of those 1,440 minutes of a day that you need to take care of yourself, to fly, to first love yourself, so you can care, use compassion and resilience everywhere for other people. So we have 1,500 days of celebration, right? There's something to celebrate every day. Today, Fat Tuesday, right? It's also National Pancake Day. And there are a bunch of other celebratory things to celebrate today on March 1st. What we don't have in those 1,500 days on the National Day calendar is a day for survivors. A day for those of us who've had tests in life and learned the lessons and have come through and tutored others through their lessons after the test. So I said, why not me? I created National Resilience Day, and it's this Friday. It's March 4th because we march forth and conquer our disappointments, our insecurities, our self-limiting beliefs, our adversities. And more importantly, we do it together. What does that say right there on the magnet? Say it out loud. Yeah? I am resilient. When you see that, your brain is telling you you are resilient. And you are. But it's more fun when we're resilient together. So on Friday, another homework, honor system. I want you to get out of bed, pull your shoulders back, hold your head up high, say, I may be in pain. That pain will ease. I'm going to hold on to my community, and I'm going to help one person every day because I learned some stuff. but we do it together. We show compassion and resilience in our communities. So I want to be a resource for you. You all have my cards at your place. This is my information for those out in YouTube land. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a counselor. I feel like a subject matter expert in overcoming. If I can help tutor you through the tests you're going through, or if I can help a friend of yours in your sphere of influence in your community, I want to. That is my purpose. That fulfills me. That emotional support human. Because we need to do life together. And we march forth and conquer. Thank you. If you guys have questions, I am here in line, text. I'll be here tonight. I would love to hug each and every one of you if you allow that. I'll wear my mask. I want to be here for you. Let's do this together. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Did we have any questions on inline text? Okay. Any questions in here? And it's okay if you don't? I'm just a phone call away. So my number, did you notice? 620, Wichita, Kansas, never been there. 304, March 4th, Hope, 4673. I'm just a phone call away. Thank you.
We just want to say thank you to Miss Kristen Christy for coming out and doing this resilient speech for us here at Edwards. We really appreciate it. I know that we need it. It was a very touching story with you and your son. I remember hearing it for the first time, and it was very touching, and every time it's still touching. So thank you for coming out and sharing your story with us.